Hi, my name is Preston. So my experience has been with depression since probably a pretty young age, like I'd say probably 11, but I didn't really start actually seeking help or doing anything about it until the last couple of years. In terms of symptoms, I think it's actually interesting. When I was younger, my symptoms were a little bit different from the ones that I've experienced more recently. So when I was around sort of 13, 14, 15, I had this very kind of overwhelming feelings of like dread and things like that. I guess there were just a lot of feelings kind of going on in there that were quite hard to deal with. At the same time, I had lots of, shame and things like that to do with my sexuality. More recently, like since I've kind of come to terms with the sexuality aspect, I think I more so just felt nothing. And that was kind of almost worse in a way. They were quite different challenges, but yeah, so lots of feelings on the one hand and then lots of nothing on the other. So lowest point for me, I think the lowest point was really when I was about, again in those years like 13, 14, 15, sort of early high school. There was, lots of suicidal ideation, self-harming, things like that. I think I would do that as a way of kind of just getting all of those feelings out. And yeah, just not wanting to be alive, which I look back on now and it's like looking at a different person. I can't believe that I felt that way. It's quite upsetting. So when I was in my lowest point, I guess I don't have an answer to the question of what did I do to kind of seek support in that time, especially when I was younger. The reason being, I just didn't seek support. I think I was so ashamed of my sexuality that I was scared that if I was to actually open up to anyone, like family or anyone really, about how I was feeling, then it would have started a conversation about maybe the reasons why I was feeling that way. And there was nothing worse in my mind than having to kind of potentially have to like come out to somebody and tell them about that side of me. I came up with some, not consciously, but I guess in the back of my mind, came up with some coping mechanisms, which as I got older, didn't really work anymore. But I think when I was feeling really like suicidal, I would almost trick myself into keeping on going just by saying, why not just see what tomorrow is like? Yeah. And the next day it would be the same thing. Might as well just like go on one more day, because who knows, tomorrow might be all right. Something that I've come to realize in hindsight as well is that I would think about the person that I'd kind of want to be, or like pick somebody that I idealize and go, oh, I want to be like them. And that was kind of the driving force for me, like through school especially, to kind of keep me from crumbling. So like the reason I got okay grades and things like that is because I wanted to get to uni to do this and that and become this specific person, and have everyone see me in some way that was other than what I saw myself as at the time, which I didn't like. So when I think I got to a point in my life where I wasn't suicidal anymore. I wanted to live. I had things that I valued and things that did make me happy. And there was, being in the closet and that just wasn't working anymore. And I was sick of being unhappy. So that was the one thing that I could see as something that I could change to actually kind of begin the rest of my life. I wasn't ever really ready to actually open up about my sexuality or anything. But I think I did as a way of engineering a change. So I started off telling like a couple of friends, then I ended up telling my mum that I was seeing someone, and that ended up being actually a really challenging period for me. I think when you've held on to something like that for so long, it's a very vulnerable thing to do. And I didn't feel as though it was this, like I was blossoming or something like that. It was a really grueling process. And it wasn't until after I had been through that I didn't have kind of that mask or veil over me anymore, that I was able to actually start doing the work to figure out who I am. And so that was probably like 3 years ago or something now. And it's really only the last year that I've felt like myself. How being honest about mental health has impacted my life now. Never really have been super open with my mates about the challenges that I've actually been through in my life in terms of was just really struggling with my mental health. But opening up to my psychologist and things like that have completely changed my whole entire life, to the point where I feel just good. And if I don't feel good, I'm accepting of that. I'm not really worried that I'm about to fall into another depressive episode. And I think that comes with, every couple of months sitting down, having a check-in with her, and just building, equipping myself with a tool set to kind of go through life with this condition. It's like, I couldn't recommend it. I wish I could go and tell my child self this, like what I know now. It's been scary, but it's been life-changing, like the best way. Yeah, if I was to sit in front of my 13-year-old self now, I think I would tell him that even though he just loathes himself, that I actually love him. And I do. When I look back on my past self, it is almost like looking at a different person. And I just feel so sorry for that kid that was going through that. So I'd just tell him that he's loved, by me. When I decided to see a psych, I guess it was really about deciding to do something. And I really didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, my mental health is just crap, and I've got to do something here. I just went to my GP. He's someone that I really trust. He's absolutely great. And I started with him. That's where the process started. I told him all of my symptoms and everything like that. He did the questionnaire thing, and then recommended someone. He asked, he also put me on antidepressants as well, actually, which was obviously a discussion that we had. And I was willing to do, anything that seems like it'll help. So we came up with a treatment plan, which included that. And he said as well, I don't really like prescribing these if you're not also going to see a psych too, which I agreed with 100%. He said, because it's only kind of one part of your treatment. I think you also need to be looking at how you cope or, perceive things that are going on in your life. So he recommended somebody. He asked, do you want to see a male or a female? I don't know why, but I don't like the idea of seeing a male psych for me personally. So I was like, definitely female, please. He recommended someone. She ended up being great. So I still see her, I think, for maybe a year and a half. Even when I don't feel like seeing her, if I'm thinking, I'm feeling pretty great, I don't need to see my psych, I still do. Because I think if you're feeling like you need to see your psych because you're having some crisis, it's probably too late. For me anyway, I just like to have that check-in.
That's beautiful. What's something interesting about yourself that people wouldn't know? You take the
That's the toughest question you guys have asked. When I was like 11 and 12, did maybe 10. I did like 2 or 3 years of salsa dancing, and I was really good as well.
That is good. I'm not going to ask you to go do some.
Please don't.